And I would like to introduce our next speaker, because we will first hear your inputs, and I have already a list of questions that we can discuss later. You need and what are the requirements. And now I'm happy that we have two more people from Spain which are working in this field and conclude the picture, I guess. So thank you again, Dulcinea. And,
thank you.
I welcome Professor Dr. Carmen Fonseca Mora. She's a full professor of applied linguistics in the Department of English Philology at the University of Huelva, where she has been also Vice Chancellor for lifelong learning programs and innovation. She's the head of REAL, means Research in Effective Language Learning Lab, and her main research interests and international projects are related to affect, music, multiliteracies, and innovation in second language learning. At present, she's leading the R&D project Multiliteracies for Adult at-Risk Learners of Additional Languages, with the participation of other Spanish, Belgian, Slovakian, French, and American universities, US American universities. I also welcome Nuria Vaquero Ibera, who works with her in the mentioned project about Spanish as a foreign language. Ibera graduated in Hispanic philology and is a postgraduate in Spanish as a foreign language, ELE. She's currently researching the development of ELE programs for adult migrants at the University of Huelva. She has also worked as an ELE teacher, so she brings in her teaching experience into our discussion later. And she's a member of Instituto Cervantes, where she's the head of the Accredited Centers Unit. Yeah, welcome here on the panel. And now I give the word to you. Mrs. Fonseca, you can share your presentation.
Thank you very much. So I will share the presentation in the name of both of Nuria and mine and all the different universities that participate in this research project that has been funded by the Spanish Ministry, Research Ministry. So our main idea is that of talking about language education, and in fact we are dealing with, we will start with a very basic concept, and from there on we want just to try to think and to reflect on this interesting topic that already Dulcinea and Andreas have so well done before. So we start with the concept of literacy, and literacy as understanding, using, evaluating, reflecting on, and engaging with texts in order to achieve one's goals, to develop one's knowledge and potential, and to participate in society. And yes, when we are talking about that, we could be talking about very low literacy learners, but at the same time, the first thing what we will find is that there is a great diversity, as you already have said. And at university, in Spanish universities, at least here in the south, I have found out that we've got some refugee students, some university refugee students. The only thing is I had them in my own classroom and I didn't know at certain moment, okay, because no one told me. It was just, as you were saying, Dulcinea, the NGO, were working with them, but I didn't know, and I was their teacher. So that is the thing. But so how to teach to them academic language education, and at the same time taking into account that what I really want them is to engage with every type of texts, not only written texts, that I want them to critically participate, and that because I want to give them a voice, I want them to participate in our society. That is what we were thinking about in our project. So this means that literacy is the ability to use language and images in rich and varied forms to read, write, listen, speak, view, represent, and think critically about ideas. And the Canadian model is quite a good one. We feel, at least in our group, that the Canadian model can help us and can to understand this a bit better, because they were talking since long ago about new literacies, and they always saw literacy as a socially situated practice, and they were talking about multiliteracies. And multiliteracies is just the name as the title of our project, Multiliteracies for Adult at-Risk Learners of Additional Languages. And what we have to say is that it addresses a high diversity, because as you, Andreas and Dulcinea, have already been saying, diversity because of the different languages, because of the different cultures, because of the different age, because of the different workplaces, because of the gender, everything. So the diversity is one of the big issues. The other one is the multimodality, that we think that from a language education perspective, which is ours, we need to include, because nowadays everything has changed, and also because we think that we need to find the way to give them voice, that because we think that is of social justice. So in this, so our project Multilits, in short, comes from, is based on 3 different premises. The first one, research on inclusiveness, normally focuses on vulnerable populations who have been socialized in a different foreign context, but rarely on the members of the society who actually need to work towards inclusiveness. So what happens with all the others? What happens with us? So because we are the ones, all the other members of the society who need to integrate these new members. On the other hand, a second premise, the studies on multiliteracies, or the ability to interpret, create, and communicate meanings across a variety of visual, oral, corporal, musical, and alphabetical forms of communication. They need also to consider learners' social-emotional competence, because actually what you have been saying till now is that they feel distress, that these refugees, they've got a lot of international students as well. I think in this sense, at certain moments, they also feel anxiety, because the culture of the institution is totally different from theirs and the ways of doing things. But refugees, you have been mentioning, I got really astonished. In 1 year, they have to go from A1 to C1. That it's something that frightens anyone, at least me. And I think I am a language speaker and a language teacher. So, and on the other hand, we also thought that ignoring multiliteracies could even place low literacy adults at even higher risks for further marginalization. So we went on and looking in the literature and what other experts have been doing as regards multiliteracies and their benefits as an educational practice for adult language learners. We've been looking for multilingualism and multiliteracies, even for the occupational multiliteracies for migrants. We also found out that there's a great teacher challenge for adult migrancy literacy development. We also dealt with the intercultural competence in adult language learning through the pedagogy of multiliteracy. And also we've been thinking about ICTs and artificial intelligence and the future that is coming, and that we think that could be of great benefit of everyone. So in our project, what we are doing is we are working right now with 2 work packages, the language work package and the education work package. And so we are working on a multiliteracy scale for migrants with high literacy levels that would help us in the future to see the needs from the very first moment. But we are also, because of that great diversity, we have been also trying to design, because another problem in research is that this population has not been so much researched. It's not it's not, they are not primary students, they are not secondary students, and then they are not the typical university students, or so everything there that makes them a population that has not so much researched. So we have also to create this multiliteracy questionnaire, but that for low literacy migrants. But in this case, it needs to be a guided interview because they could never understand all the different aspects. And because probably we at certain moments we need also the translators to so that they can understand what we are trying to ask them for. And there is a third type of study we are right now working on it, which is related to music and rhythm, because there's a special issue on that, but because we think that it could help migrants to learn better their foreign language, because there is a connection between music and language learning. And then on the other hand, we've got the educational work packages where we are working with those volunteer teachers, because that the majority of them are volunteer teachers, and they do not exactly know how to teach. There are many strategies they are still missing. And when the main question, when you ask a volunteer teacher, what is your need? They say training. That is what they constantly say. Yeah, and something highly interesting that is coming, but Nuria is in charge of that much more than me. So, and she can explain afterwards. She can explain it a bit better. Is that self-assessment? That that tool for language program assessments for language programs for migrants, where she's validating descriptors and it's a highly interesting tool that I think that will do a very good thing. And also we are working with them through the multiliteracy approach with future language teachers, because one of the things we found out that in our system, university system, in educational degrees or in English studies degrees or philologia degrees, in didactics, we normally prepare our future language teachers for kindergarten, for primary, or for secondary students, but no one tells them how to teach adults. And what happens, as you already have said, then what they start trying to do exactly the same what they could do with kindergarten students, but it's not the same. You are talking about adults and with a whole different profiles, because they can come from their oral languages, from our oral tradition in their own literacies, or they can come from the many different other literacies. So whatever, because our university students, okay, what we want to know, what we are observing, what we are doing with them is just observing their ethnocultural beliefs. Are they ready for this type of population? That is what we are working on. So the pedagogy of multiliteracy starts just with from experience. So it has to do with experiential learning in certain sense. Then it goes to conceptualization. It goes to overt instruction. Then we try to give students something where they have to change for example, the format of something of a paper. I give you an example in a second, and then they have to criticize them. So, for instance, we can give them a paper on the role of literacy in the acculturation process of migrants, which is just a scientific article, and ask out of it, make a video. Change the format where they have, and there are lots of different informations they can add to that, and with that type of activity they are changing the format. So they are working normally in this sense with this. Our proposal is that they work together with collaboratively in groups. So they put into practice what has been called the pedagogic mediation, and what has been defined in the companion volume, in the CEFR companion volume in practice. So pedagogic mediation, which means that they co-construct all together migrants with no migrant students in the same class, because we have some of them. For example, in my university, we have at the master levels, we have people from Cameroon, we have people from Syria, we have people from Afghanistan, we have people from South America, from Latin America. So that they can work in groups together, and something happens there, because when they are working working together, there is a collaborative dialogue. And when they are collaborating to create a new product, perhaps the acceptance of the otherness or the empathy can develop, depending as well on what how the teacher facilitates and how the teacher works on that. So in general, some results that are very much in line with what already has been said in this roundtable. Multilingual migrants learn through their existing literacy practices. That's the reason why we need to find out, as you were saying, Dulcina, the metaphors for them are not our metaphors, or vice versa. No? So multiliteracy teaching practices reflect a process engaged with affect theory, students' histories, memories, sensations, to enrich meaning making. There is a positive impact if we propose scenarios where they can include their different languages. When we accept the multilingual interactions. And this is connected with plurilingualism and also connected with translanguaging, allowing students to use their own languages, proposing activities where they can use their own languages. I can give you examples of that if you're interested. So learners, even with only emergent print literacy, all of them, adult migrant learners always need cognitively challenging or socially rewarding tasks, and that is very important because they need this challenge, and then they need this social reward. But I don't want to finish without saying also the benefits, because there are great benefits when we've got our refugees, university students with us, and the great. Or with migrants in general as well, the great benefits are that they bring into our own life, they bring different realities in workforce, community, cultural context, but also they bring, when we allow them to use through this pedagogy of multiliteracy, when we allow them to use the multimodal resources, they also bring the transnational knowledge of their contexts. And what happens when we allow them to work cooperatively, that the migrants, but also our own students, there is an immersion of real autonomous learning experience. So domestic students help migrants to understand much better the academic language requirements that are in that all of them have to put into practice. And then translanguaging, which actually very often something that has been observed, that sometimes the language of the country is used as a power. And that is a problem as well, because we, as language teachers, we need to know that all language have the same interest, are of the same interest. For instance, in our master degree, because it's there where we've got the different migrants, for instance, we allow them to start the very first day just telling us, giving us it's a Padlet, a Padlet where they only have to stick a quotation on what language means for them. But they are asked to do it in whatever language they want to do it. And there appear so many different languages, and you cannot, and they read it aloud in their language, and you cannot imagine how proud they feel because they have that language, which is a different way. Or when we ask them to, we follow the Council of Europe's design, one of the proposal attached, which is called the plurilingual portrait, that probably you all know. And in the plurilingual portrait, the only thing each student has to do is they have to draw their bodies and to put on their bodies the different languages they speak. And it's quite curious because then migrants show something. They are just above everyone. They are multilingual. And many domestic students are not. So, and that is a great, as well, a great push forwards towards their self-esteem, and that is a great help as well. So, in conclusion, Educational recommendations as regards with multiliteracies in adult language education is that we need action-oriented approach, experiential learning with hands-on experiences, competence-based tasks, modality combination, arts, drama, music, inclusion of the language of students' home community, development of learners' digital literacy, and acknowledgement of students' culture and semiotics to enhance social justice. But on the other hand, we have to say something else. From the linguistic perspective, I have to say that the multilingual migrant language acquisition research is not sufficiently developed. That's the problem. We believe that a framework including all types of literacies, connecting multimodality to multilingualism, acculturation, and social emotional features is needed to better understand the language acquisition process of adult at-risk learners. Thank you very much. And that is what we are trying to do. That is what with here you can see all the different partners. We are 12 different universities from different parts of Europe and also one from the United States. So thank you very much for your attention.